is Coach Maggie, certified health and lifestyle coach. Have you heard the expression, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if it's Benjamin Franklin or somebody, but it is one of those things that my mother said all the time when I was a kid growing up. And of course, it didn't mean anything to me as a 10 or 12-year-old. But there's so much truth to it. So often we put off things. We think, it's not that important. Or we start to think, is there something going on here? But we don't want to take the time. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story here. I love telling stories. And you're going to think, what in the world does this have to do with this? But just bear with me. Stick with me. But today was cleaning day, and I was vacuuming my living room. And I love when you get those nice lines, straight lines from vacuuming. And everything looked good. I moved furniture, and then I went into my husband's office, which is right next to it. And I started going and doing the lines. Again, everything's looking good. But he had all of these little white pieces that come from a 3-hole punch. And I would seemingly pick them up, but then all of a sudden they appear over here. And so it was obvious I wasn't getting them. And so I went and I dumped, all this stuff in the container. That's the nice thing about a lot of the newer vacuum cleaners. We don't have bags anymore. So you can see when it's almost full. So I went out and I dumped it. And there's even another little compartment that often I miss, but I remembered and I dumped it, brought it back inside, put it in place. And still, I was getting the nice lines, but I wasn't getting those little pieces of paper. So I did it for a while, and finally it started bugging me. And I literally turned the vacuum cleaner over to find a little trap door that I didn't even know was there. So after opening that up, there was the place where the vacuum cleaner goes from being horizontal to, of course, going straight up vertically. So I had to dig, and believe it or not, it took almost 10 minutes to pull all the hairs and the fibers. There was a big paper clip. There were some bobby pins from my hair, and all this stuff that was matted in there. So when I finally got that out, put everything back, it worked like a charm. And now everything was great. But as I was vacuuming, I thought, all the signs were there that it was working. And how often in life it's the same way. Everything looks good on the outside, but there's a gnawing feeling something's not right. How often do we put off the fact that, I've been having headaches and I don't normally, or we're feeling a certain way, or there's an ache. And I'm not a big one for running to the doctor. Trust me, it takes a lot. But we need to get to that place of paying more attention to our body, listening. How often have we heard people develop something serious and they start thinking backwards and they'll say, 6 months ago, I remember this starting to happen or that happening. And so I think we've got to make sure that we're paying attention. We're starting to connect the dots. Listen, pay attention. Because again, a lot of times on the outside, everything looks good. But it's those inner things. And I believe we all have a level of intuition that something isn't quite right. Do some digging, go in and start paying attention. Maybe it's a sign that, I've been, indulging over here, maybe too many sweets, Maybe I haven't been eating more vegetables or as many as I should. Or maybe I've been overdoing it on the coffee or the alcohol or whatever. Even sometimes good things. But we need to get to that place where we take inventory of how things are going and pay close attention and make those adjustments. Let's not wait till all of a sudden it's at an emergency level or we're really sick before we start paying attention to the things that we're doing. A lot of times we even jokingly say, oh, I'm just getting older. Oh, it's just age. And I think too many people just think this is just the way it is. We see commercials every night for all the, things for indigestion, and diarrhea, and constipation, and acid reflux. And we think everybody's got it. No, everybody does not, or everybody should not. If you're eating the standard American diet, yes, you're going to have it, and everyone will have it. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. So let's not fall into that trap of just saying, well, that's just as this is as good as it gets. I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 80. It doesn't have to. A lot of it is our diet and our lifestyle. And that's why I talk about these things, because they all have to do with health. When we're overwhelmed, when our mind is not in the right place, all of it affects how we feel. So let's pay more attention, and pay attention to the people in your life. This is really important because sometimes people don't notice it when it's about them. It's much easier for us to see in that person that we live with something's a little off. Something's not right. Because often the person it's happening to, they could be a little bit in denial. Or maybe they've been dealing with it long enough. They're not even aware they're dealing with it. So, do you know someone that you're starting to see little signs? Whether it's, and yes, forgetfulness, some of those things, it's just because we're too busy. But are you starting to notice things in that coworker, in your spouse, in your parents, in your kids? Because it isn't just age. A lot of the things that go on, a lot of the disease, a lot of the sickness, in many, many cases has been in the body for 10, 20, or more years before it becomes full blown. So let's begin to catch those things. Do some troubleshooting like I did with my vacuum cleaner. A lot of times we just think with things, we think, well, I must need a new one. When in fact, sometimes there's just a problem that we need to get to the bottom of. But it's the same with our health. So, does somebody need to hear this message? Maybe you do. I know I do. Because again, we can put off and we can count it up to, well, I've just been so busy. That's why my stomach's been hurting on this side, or that's why I've been having this issue. When maybe there's some other things involved. So start paying attention. Start listening to your body. Start jotting down how you feel when that thing happens. See if you can find a pattern. A lot of times it's just a simple thing, like my vacuum cleaner. Maybe it's going to take a little digging, but really it's not that hard. And then we can get back to where we need to be. So again, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you been at this place where you know someone and you say, yeah, I wish I had, I wish he had taken better care or done the things he needed to do? Or maybe there's someone you said, I wish they had told me. So it's not too late for us. So let's take care. Let's listen to our body. And again, let's be more attentive to the people around us. So please leave me a message. If this said anything to you, make a comment, like it, and definitely share it if there's someone that you know that now that I put this bug in your ear, you're thinking, could it be? And it isn't always a serious thing, but an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Take care and God bless.